What if there was an ancient user manual for verifying one of the most profound claims a human being can make? A 2,500-year-old guide that lays out a methodical, almost scientific process for testing enlightenment. Well, there is. And today, we're diving deep into that very text.
So just imagine this for a second. Someone comes up to you and says they're fully liberated, completely enlightened. How in the world do you verify that? Do you just take their word for it? The Buddha actually offered a surprisingly practical guide, and we're going to break it down step by step. So here's our roadmap. We'll start with the initial claim itself. Then we'll walk through a series of tests, kind of like a cosmic lie detector. We'll probe their view of the world, deconstruct their idea of reality, and finally dig into the personal story that got them there. Let's get started.
Okay, so the whole thing kicks off with this scenario. A monk makes the ultimate declaration of freedom. Now, the Buddha's advice here is really interesting. He says don't just immediately accept it, but don't just reject it out of hand either. Instead, you've got to investigate.
This is the statement that triggers the whole process. It's the formal declaration of becoming an arahant, a fully awakened being. Now, this isn't just some casual comment. This is the ultimate claim, and because of that, it demands the ultimate scrutiny. And so the questioning begins.
All right, test number 1. This gets right down to the most fundamental level of our experience. How does this person actually relate to the raw data coming in through their senses every single second?
So the first line of questioning is about their relationship with, well, everything, the totality of their moment-to-moment experience. The text breaks this down into what it calls the 4 modes. Everything you see, everything you hear, everything you sense with your body, and every single thought that you cognize with your mind. The whole shebang.
And boom, this is the correct answer. The monk isn't saying they don't see or hear things. Of course they do. But what they're saying is that their mind doesn't get stuck on any of it. It doesn't cling. It isn't bound by it. It's not dependent on it. It's a mind that's totally free, with no limits when it comes to any sensory input at all. The questioner's response to this is sadhu, which basically means excellent or well said. Think of it as passing the first level. The answer checks out, it's consistent with liberation, so the investigation can move on to an even deeper level.
Okay, so they passed round 1, but now the scrutiny gets way more intense. We're moving beyond just raw sensory data and into the monk's deep understanding of the very building blocks of reality and what we call a self.
So, the first part of this deeper test zooms in on the 5 aggregates of clinging. You can think of these as the 5 components that, when they're all bundled together, create this powerful illusion that we have a solid, permanent me.
Now, what's so powerful about this answer is the insight it reveals. See, the monk doesn't just list the 5 parts. They state that they have directly seen their true nature, that they're shaky, they're temporary, they're stressful, and it's because of that direct, first-hand knowledge that their mind is totally released from any clinging or identifying with them.
And the deconstruction of reality doesn't stop there. The questioning then moves to the 6 fundamental elements, earth, water, fire, air, space, and consciousness itself. And then it probes the 6 sense bases, the entire machinery of perception from your eye to your mind.
So here's the absolute heart of it. The monk's answer shows a complete and total severing of identification. They don't see a self in the elements, and they don't see a self that owns the elements. Same thing for the senses. It is a total, radical disentanglement from reality as we normally perceive it.
And, once again, the answer is spot on. The monk has shown this profound, analytical understanding of the nature of reality and self. So we get another sadhu. They've passed the second major test, which means it's time for the final and most personal proof. All right, this last part of the scrutiny, it's not about abstract knowledge anymore. This is all about lived experience. The questioner basically asks for the monk's own story. How did you actually get from an ordinary person to this?
And this, right here, is the ultimate question. It goes straight to the very heart of the ego. The test is no longer just, are you enlightened, but show me. Show me exactly how that deep-seated lifelong habit of creating a self was completely and totally pulled out by the roots.
And the proof isn't a simple yes, it's a story. The monk lays out their entire journey, from the very beginning, just hearing the truth, to leaving the worldly life, mastering their own conduct, learning to guard their senses, deepening their meditation, and finally, using that incredibly clear mind to see reality exactly as it is.
And this is the culmination of that entire journey.
It's a direct testimony. It describes how seeing things as they truly are leads to the mind's final, irreversible release from what are called the taints, those deep-seated corruptions of craving and ignorance. They don't just believe it, they know it with absolute certainty.
For the third and final time, the response is met with a resounding sadhu. The monk has passed every single test, from their relationship with the raw world to their analytical understanding of reality, all the way to the detailed personal account of their own journey. The claim has been verified.
So, with the claim now fully verified, what's the ultimate sign of this liberation? Well, what the whole scrutiny reveals is nothing less than a fundamental transformation of the mind itself.
This right here really captures the essence of the whole thing. On one side, you have the ordinary mind, constantly bound by the habit of I, me, and mine. It's reactive, it's biased, and it's driven by this relentless undercurrent of wanting. And on the other side, the liberated mind. It's unbound, it's clear, and it's completely released from that cycle. At its very core, it is profoundly at peace.
And I just love this conclusion. The process doesn't end in some cold, clinical verdict. It ends in pure joy and appreciation. The questioners don't just say, "Yep, you passed." They celebrate. They recognize what an incredibly rare and wonderful thing it is to have a person like that in their community.
This entire intricate process was designed to verify one thing: the complete uprooting of I-making. So, we'll leave you with this question to reflect on. What would your moment-to-moment reality actually be like if that persistent, nagging sense of I and mine was simply gone?